From across the frozen final frontier of Tarkir comes our final clan, the Temur, embodying the aspect of savagery so fully even their tempo decks have savage prices. I just don't know if I can bear, the price tag on this deck. $650. Again? Tell me again why you can't play Modern because of the cost? Just what is in Temur Tempo? Well, 4 Cursing Coursers and 4 Caryatids. Because green is why. And the Temur have also captured the fearsome Polkanos, Eater of Worlds and Eater of Your Wallet at $14 to $15 each. In red, we have the usual suspects. Say them with me now. Goblin Rabblemaster, Stormbreath Dragon, and at least 1 to 2 Sarkhan. Finally, it just wouldn't be Temur without Rattleclaw Mystics and Savage Knuckleblades. Looking at our support spells, in addition to the highly versatile Temur Charm, we also have the highly affordable Elvish Mystic, Void Snare, Stubborn Denial, and Lightning Strike. Hey, if our support spells are nice and affordable, and things like Savage Knuckleblade are fairly priced at only a couple bucks each, then maybe an effective budget build can be done more easily. I mean, the mana base is ferocious as you'd expect, but we might just be able to work something out here. I mean, the sideboard will need to be completely overhauled. Kiora, more Sarkhans, and Stormbreaths. Oh, and Surak, because, well, Surak. But I think we can work with this. With Temur flying quietly under the radar while the prices skyrocket on Jeskai and Abzan, why not grab these cards from this deck that are still affordable and put a budget build together instead? To heck with tempo. Let's transform this into Temur Aggro, where a budget build is only $100. Knowing that our support spells are fairly inexpensive, we can keep the muscle of this deck. The Polkanos and the Savage Knuckleblade. I can't believe Knuckleblade is still only about $3. He's the apotheosis of versatile value, so I'm glad to have snatched up my playset before Temur takes off and the Knuckleblade's price skyrockets. So since we've changed from tempo to aggro, we can drop the Coursers and the Caryatids. But we're still going to rely mostly on Elvish Mystics for mana ramp, and we'll add in some Air of the Wilds. I hope you still have your full art one from game day. Nothing wrong with a little bling, even in a budget build. Air is great because they deter would-be aggressors, and then get beefed up later when our other big creatures drop. You'd be surprised how scared an entire early game army can be from just a little old Air of the Wilds on the ground. What about Sarkhan and Stormbreath Dragon? In Temur Aggro, we're going to go budget on both and run the Ashcloud Phoenix instead. If you fall in love with this deck, then you can upgrade it with 1 to 2 Sarkhan and or Stormbreath. But if you do, keep them in addition to the Phoenixes, not instead of them. Ashcloud is so wonderfully more affordable at $6, and it does a really great job of creating a problem that won't go away. One more aggro addition that I'm going to make is also wonderfully still budget, a full playset of Boon Satyrs. You'll have the mana to bestow this well before turn 5, and putting it on just about anything, especially our Firebird, makes some really big problems for our opponents. The surprise flash in can work as great blocking and removal out of nowhere as well. Best of all, they're $1 each. While it isn't typical aggro, I just can't get rid of Void Snare. I think this is highly underrated and underutilized, especially given the Planeswalker heavy decks flying around right now. With Void Snare, you can let your opponents cast anything from a creature to a Planeswalker, only for us to bounce it back during our turn and then counter it as they waste their mana trying to recast. Between Stubborn Denial and Disdainful Stroke, we should be able to waste a few of their turns, while our forces continue to thrash them. Delightful. And we've saved just enough in our $100 budget to afford a couple pain lands. I found the Yavimaya Coast to work a bit better than the Shivan Reef, but you might decide to go the opposite route. Either way, we can still keep it under budget by including a couple, and then use our life gain lands instead of scries. And while that mana base is still far from ideal, It beats the overall price tag that those pros have to spend. For the sideboard, obviously we can't afford Kioras or additional Storm Breaths. So I'm going to go an unconventional route, but it's with something that I think is a hidden gem. It's another underrated Phoenix we have access to, one that is a budget brewer's dream, the flame-wreathed Phoenix of Theros. This lovely fire bird is a $1 mythic, and its tribute is a conundrum for your opponent. If your opponent pays the tribute, you end up with a 5/5 flying for 4 mana, something you may have even gotten out on turn 3 thanks to ramp from your Elvish Mystic. And if they don't pay that tribute and leave it at a 3/3 flyer, it gains haste to attack that turn and will return to our hand if it dies. I feel like this is a highly underrated card, great for our aggro sideboard. Playsets can be found for as little as $4 to $5, and it's something that works great with this and heck, even other budget builds. So while Temur Tempo is all the rage for those with big bank accounts, why not find out how a bit more brute force can do wonders for your wallet with a $100 budget build such as Temur Aggro? I hope very much that some of these videos, whether they be the budget look at Jeskai, Mardu, Abzan, Sultai, or Temur, have been helpful for you. Magic is an expensive game, and Standard is probably the most expensive format long term. But even in Standard, powerful decks can be put together for less than you'd think. If you want to keep seeing more videos like this, please help me out by remembering to subscribe, like, share, or even just by leaving a comment. And remember, there will never be a game day or Friday night magic at Target or Walmart, so whenever possible, try and spend your cash where you spend time playing this wonderful game, and that's at your local game store.